Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Lioness's Circle of Influence webinar. It's absolutely wonderful to have everybody with us this evening. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sandy Gaia. I have been a business owner for 18 years, so I have spent a fair amount of time in the Lioness territory, and it is my pleasure to be hosting this webinar with you tonight. I'm very excited to see how many cities between South Africa, Australia, and New Zealand that we have on board with us. There's far too many for me to mention, but wonderful to see the amazing support from all three countries. We certainly hope to give you fantastic value tonight. And I pretty much have a question for you, and that is, who is in your circle of influence? And I'd like to just get you to think about that for a little while. And then obviously moving on to the people who are in my circle of influence, that, those are the ladies that are with me this evening, and I'm very pleased to have them with me. And I must thank everybody who has joined me tonight, because there's a lot of preparation in a webinar like this, and I invited them to come and share their value and their expertise, because they do such a good job of being in my circle of influence. So welcome to all our amazing presenters. You will be able to see them at the bottom of your screen, and there's everybody's lovely faces smiling back at you. Just before I introduce our first speaker for the evening, just a little bit of housekeeping. We are working with a system called Webinar Jam, and that works through Google Hangouts. Now, through Google Hangouts, it means that there's about a 10 to 20 second delay between us speaking and what you are hearing. So that doesn't really affect anything, because nobody really does know any different. But just to let you know that if you see anything appear on your screen and a presenter hasn't referred to, it's probably because there can be a little bit of a delay happening. You should notice on the right-hand side of your screen that you have a little chat section. And that is a section where you can ask us questions or make comments if you would like to. We may well not be responding immediately to those comments, because somebody will be presenting and we don't want to distract other attendees. Everyone who's presenting tonight can see your comments, but the other attendees probably won't. If we don't actually answer any of the questions that come through that you put through, please don't be offended. We're just going to choose one or two as we go. But that chat section is there so that you can communicate with us if you'd like to, and you can make comments. And the lovely Letitia will be checking that chat box in between presentations, as will I. So I think that that's all our housekeeping. Very last thing is to say that you will be sent the live replay of this webinar event. So if you do suddenly need to go and have a pee break in between, or refresh your glass of wine if you're in New Zealand, or your cup of coffee if you're in South Africa, or it'll probably still be your cup of coffee if you're in Australia, you can dash away quickly and you won't miss anything, because you get the live replay. Alrighty, so moving on to the lovely lineup that I do have tonight. Our first speaker up is Sonia Gardner of Sonia Gardner Nutrition. Now, I just want to tell you a little bit about why Sonia is in my circle of influence. Sonia is speaking tonight about adrenal fatigue and how to avoid and recover from this epidemic, and that sounds wildly fascinating, and I can't wait to hear about that. But I first met Sonia a number of years ago when she did the Path of the Lion pilot with me. And what really impressed me about Sonia is that she's a very, very serious business person. But she went through a process of getting in touch with what it was that she felt absolutely passionate about. And she actually changed businesses, and she changed direction. And I have a huge amount of respect for that. All the work that she's doing in her area at the moment is incredibly valuable. I would encourage you to follow her Facebook page. I certainly do, with great interest, because this is an area that is very relevant to everybody. So I'm thrilled to have Sonia with us tonight. And Sonia, looking forward to hearing what you've got to share. Off you go, girl.
Thank you, Sandy. Absolute pleasure to be presenting with you tonight, and honour really, purely because you are such a powerful, positive influence on so many people's lives. So an absolute honour to be considered as part of your circle of influence. I decided to talk about adrenal fatigue because I know we've got a Google Hangout full of type A personalities tonight, lots of business owners, and it's a topic that's probably very relevant. Adrenal fatigue is not exclusive to type A's, but we are certainly more susceptible to it. You may or may not have heard of adrenal fatigue. I believe it is an epidemic in our society today. It doesn't get the same media coverage that, say, obesity and diabetes gets. And that may be partly because the medical fraternity don't consider it a diagnosable condition, but it is a very, very real, tangible condition that really, really affects the lives of people who are suffering from it. Although those who are suffering from it may seem like they are just coping with life and getting on with everyday like everyone else is. So I thought it'd be a good opportunity to share a bit about that. I'm very passionate about helping people on the healing journey of, from adrenal fatigue. I have suffered from it myself. I am on a healing journey myself, quite a long journey, and I have come across a lot of people who are suffering from that, and it's manifesting in a very wide variety of symptoms in people's lives. So I thought I would start by introducing you to your adrenal glands. Oh, here they are here. Well, that's the size of them anyway, the size of a couple of walnuts. They sit on top of your kidneys. They're very small, but they are very, very, very important. They're known as the glands of stress, but they really handle so much more than just the stress response. The adrenal glands essentially help your body to react to any and every change that occurs within your body and in your external environment, essentially helping you to adapt and survive. The hormones that the adrenal glands secrete are involved in almost every physiological process within the body. They're involved in cardiovascular function, digestive function, blood sugar regulation, the utilization of protein and fats and the distribution of fat, hormonal balance, and of course stress response as well. So very small but very, very important and extremely overburdened in our society today. So what causes adrenal fatigue? There's not likely to be any one particular instance or particular date that you can point to where adrenal fatigue started if you are suffering from it. It's really an accumulated effect, as you know, responsible for so many different functions in the body, and over time all of these different things can stress the adrenals. So the main things are really we've got very poor quality of sleep, we've got very poor diets, high intake of sugar, high intake of refined foods, processed foods, very taxing on the body, and then of course all the chemicals and preservatives that we consume now as well. Stress, obviously a huge one. We are under unprecedented levels of stress nowadays, always connected, always having demands put on us, of course. Food intolerances, which we are seeing developing more and more and more, which almost becomes part of the cycle because food intolerances do develop as a result of fatigued adrenals. So there's a lot of different variables in play, and it definitely is an accumulated effect, and it's a slow process that happens over time. So how am I doing for time? Okay, that's really good. How do you know if you're suffering from adrenal fatigue? There are a very, very wide range of symptoms. I have put together a questionnaire which you will be able to download from our website. It's an extensive questionnaire which will help you to ascertain whether you are suffering from adrenal fatigue and also to what extent you're suffering from adrenal fatigue. But some of the obvious signs that you might relate to immediately, people who are suffering from adrenal fatigue have just a general feeling of unwellness. It's sometimes hard to say exactly what's wrong with you or why you don't feel well, but there's this general feeling of I'm just not feeling that great. Alternating bouts of extreme energy and fatigue, normally in the opposite times that you need it. So really difficulty falling asleep, and then finding it really, really hard to wake up in the morning as well. Little motivation, no motivation, really struggling to keep going, although you do keep going and keep going and keep going. Food allergies, as I mentioned earlier, can develop. Hay fever, respiratory conditions, skin conditions such as eczema and dermatitis can start to manifest. And then, of course, depression and anxiety come with that as well. And very often, as I mentioned before, the medical fraternity don't necessarily recognise it as a diagnosable condition, and people who will go and see their doctor about how they're feeling will very often be sent off with a packet of antidepressants, which is really not treating the core issue at all. So just very quickly, some suggestions on how you can avoid falling down the adrenal fatigue hole, or indeed how you can start to recover. As I mentioned before, it's a very long process, and it takes commitment. But there are some things that are kind of generic for everybody. Obviously, the first thing is to sort your sleep out. Couple of tips regarding that. Of course, go to bed earlier. If you miss the 10 o'clock adrenal surge that you get, obviously you're going to find it a lot easier to go to sleep. So if you can get into bed by 9:30, you're going to find it a lot easier to get to sleep. And obviously if you're going to bed at 9:30, you want to adjust your wake up time as well. I find a really good time which works with a lot of people who are suffering from adrenal fatigue is getting up at 5:30 and going to sleep at 9:30. And bear in mind, if you're going to sleep at 9:30, you really want to shut everything off by about 9 o'clock to make sure that you can just start winding down. Just an interesting thing to note, the light that's emitted from our technical devices, our iPads and our laptops and our phones, is about 4 times more stimulating than the light from the sun's rays. So that might give you an idea of why you're finding it difficult to get to sleep at night. Our bodily processes are very much governed by the rhythms of the earth and the rhythms of the sun and the moon. So really, turn your equipment off by 9 o'clock and you'll find it much easier to get to sleep when you do go to bed. It's important to clean up your diet, obviously, as clean as possible. Cut out all the processed foods. You're going to cut out all the bad fats that way. You're going to cut out all your preservatives and artificial colours and flavours and all those chemicals that are wreaking havoc in your body. Stick to whole foods and cut out the sugar. Stimulants at any time of the day are going to stimulate the adrenals and fatigue your adrenals. If you're suffering from adrenal fatigue, cut the stimulants out altogether, not only just after lunchtime. And finally, of course, supplementation is really important. When you're suffering from adrenal fatigue, you aren't going to get the nutrients that you need from the food that you eat. You're going to have to supplement. There's some fantastic products available now for stress, but also for adrenal health specifically. There's a lovely product which is blended with some of the essential minerals, trace minerals, and herbs that you need to really nourish your adrenals and get them back to optimal health. So yeah, get some good sleep, eat well, look after yourself, and get onto a good supplement regime, and you should be on your way to good health.
Thank you, Sonia. Thank you. Well, that's a lot of really, really good information. Just a question that I've got for you is something I've always wondered about is Kindles. I know that you're not supposed to look at electronics before you go to bed, but I have to read and I have a Kindle. It does seem to be quite muted, but what is your feeling about that?
The light that's emitted from the Kindle is different to the light that's emitted from the other equipment, your laptops and your iPads. If you find that reading is relaxing, then and you're not finding that the Kindle's affecting you, then absolutely go for it. but if you are still finding that you're struggling to get to sleep, I would definitely suggest trying something else. Some people find reading puts them to sleep. Other sleep experts greatly discourage reading before bedtime. So I guess with that, it's just finding what works for you, and if it helps you to get to sleep, go for it.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you, Sonia. Much appreciated. I'm just going to do your microphone. Alrighty. So moving on to our next presenter. We've been having a little bit of trouble getting her to be able to hear us, but apparently Glenda has now managed to get her sound right. And I was going to put the camera on so we can see her. Wait till she's back again. There she is. Okay, so our next presenter is the lovely Glenda Aikenhead. Now, I have to say that I think Glenda is New Zealand's best kept secret, and I'll tell you why. Because she's not one of those ladies who's all over Facebook and all over networking groups and all over everything else. But I am, and I come across a lot of people who work with colour, and with all due respect to them, and I'm sure that they know, that they have a lot of good knowledge. I have never found anybody who knows as much as Glenda does. She knows, she goes way beyond colour to styles and to fragrances and to all kinds of things. This has made a very, very significant difference to me professionally, because when I travel, I take almost no clothes, but I'm wearing something, it looks like I'm wearing something different every day. And I actually specifically wore this bright yellow top because, you get yellow and then you get yellow. And I would never have gone near a color like this until I spent time with Glenda. So she has really made a significant difference. And just one more thing I wanted to say about one of the reasons that Glenda really got my attention was she told me once that when movies are produced, and there's a character in the movie that the producers want the audience not to like, they actually dress them in the wrong color. And that creates a subconscious negative reaction to that character. And then when they turn the villain around to be the hero, or if they've done it the other way around, then they dress them in all the right colors that are meant for them. And then subconsciously, the audiences start really liking that character. And the simple question is that if it's that powerful that movie producers use these kinds of things, what kind of messages are we putting out there when we dress in the wrong color? And I must also just quickly welcome all the men that we have on our webinar tonight. I know that we've got, whilst we have many lionesses in lion territory, tonight we have some lions in lioness territory. And they might think, well, does this really apply to me? And I will really say that there's nothing more disappointing than a very well-dressed man in the wrong color. So please listen up. Okay, so Glenda, we're gonna move over to you. And you're all ready to go. You are nicely unmuted, and we look forward to hearing from you. Tell us, share your magic with us.
Hi, everybody. I hope you don't mind my Marlene Dietrich voice. I've had laryngitis all day, so working against that. Basically, to have a wardrobe that works for you, you need to have a wardrobe that you wear 80% of your wardrobe, 80% of the time, and not the other way around. If you're only wearing 20% of your wardrobe 80% of the time, your wardrobe does not work for you. And it's all about having more confidence in choosing what you wear and making a working wardrobe. For instance, I am a makeup artist, and for years I wore nothing but black. Mainly because I had very poor self-esteem, having suffered with bulimia and anorexia in my youth. I did a lot of damage to my body, and I became a large lady overnight, and I hated how I looked. So I just wore black because I wanted to appear invisible. If not invisible, I wanted to be, I thought it made me look thinner, only to discover that you don't look thinner in black. It's actually about the shapes you choose. If you choose the right colors, you will find that everything in your wardrobe mixes and matches and tones together, and you end up with a really good working wardrobe. All your tones will blend, and you won't have things you can only wear with certain things. Everything will work together. If you are having a problem knowing where you fit in the spectrum, there's a whole lot of different checkpoints. I do a 5-checkpoint test to make sure I know exactly where you fit. We look at the undertone of the skin, the hair, the freckle color and pattern, if you have a different color scalp, and most importantly, the eye pattern. Every season has a distinctly different eye pattern, which I found absolutely fascinating. So if you have the right pattern in your eye, once I've looked in your eye, I know exactly where you fit, and I'm able to, with the draping, finalize exactly where you fit. And once you know your colors, there's so much more to it than that. It's also about pattern and style and shape and jewelry, fragrance, glasses, hairstyles, hair color. It all works together. Before I had my colors done, I had very little confidence. And since having had my colors done, which I was absolutely not interested in doing, I only had it done because I did it in exchange. I did makeup classes in exchange for having my colors done. And I thought it was absolute rubbish because I, being a makeup artist, could put my makeup on and wear any color that I chose, only to find I looked absolutely awful in most of the colors, especially all my black I wore. So it's all about knowing whether you are summer, winter, autumn or spring, how to work those undertones, choosing the right patterns, for instance, who wears big patterns, who wears small prints, who can wear stripes, what kind of checks, can you wear plains, can you wear plaid, can you wear tweeds. So it's really, a lot of things go into it, and mainly the shaping as well. So if you understand your body shape, whether you're straight, curved, sharp straight, or soft curved, is very important to know when you choose a jacket, because your jacket lapel needs to balance your body. So if you're equal, your shoulders and your hips are equal, and this works equally for men. If your shoulders, if you have wide shoulders and narrow hips, then you would wear a lapel that's smaller on the top and wider on the bottom. If you're a man with smaller shoulders, or a woman with smaller shoulders and wider hips, you need to have a bigger lapel on the top and a smaller one on the bottom, so that it makes your your shoulders look bigger and minimizes your hips. So if you get that right, it really does change your silhouette. Also knowing whether you need a jacket with some shape, and if you're a man, who should wear double-breasted? Not all men can. Also the kind of venting at the back. Should you have double vent or single vent at the back? If you have a big bottom and you have a single vent, your vent's going to open up and it's going to make your bottom stick out. If you have no bottom and you wear a single vent, it tends to give you a little bit more. So if you're a woman, you need to know where to end your jacket. So if your jacket's too short for you and you have a short waist, you're going to look like you've got a very long bottom. And if you have a big bottom and your jacket comes over your bottom, you tend to look like you've got pigs fighting under a blanket. Not a good look. So cutting your jacket halfway makes a big improvement on your silhouette. Understanding the shape trousers you need, who needs pleats in the front, whether your pants should be tapered, should they be wide-legged, is very important, because it can either cut your legs off or make your legs longer. Even for a man, knowing what kind of belt. For instance, if a man has a long torso, he wants to make his body look more in proportion, his legs look a little longer, then wear a dark belt that tones with your trousers. If you will wear it the opposite way, if you want to lengthen your, shorten your legs and lengthen your torso. For women, it's about necklines too. If you've got, say, low set boobs, and this is just one of those genetic things, if you wear a top with a very high neck, you're going to have too much skin showing, or too much fabric showing before you hit the eye line, which is the middle of the breast. And you're going to end up looking like your boobs are on your belly. If you wear necklines that are too low and you have high set boobs, your bra is always going to be hanging out, or too much cleavage, which might be a little risque. So just knowing what kind of neckline suits you. But it goes as far as hair color as well. If your hair color is too warm and you have cool skin, it can make your skin look ruddy. If your hair color is, if you're cool and your hair color is too warm, ruddy. If your hair color is too cool for warm skin, you look muddy. So you're either ruddy or muddy. Who wants to be either of those? Knowing how to style your hair as well, that your hair is working for you and not making your face look wider or your neck look shorter. All these things are also helpful. And when you choose makeup, it's really, really important for you not to choose a foundation that's too dark for your skin. There's nothing more aging than a woman with a foundation too dark, because it tends to make your face and your neck look disembodied as well. And know how much coverage you need. If you only need a small amount of coverage, if your skin's really nice and clear, then don't wear a thick foundation. A lot of older women tend to wear thick foundations, which end up making you look a bit plastered and more wrinkly, and it's not flattering. So keeping your makeup current as well keeps you up to date. So it's a top-to-toe thing. And I really hope that what I've shared is useful. I have so much stuff in my head, so much information, and I would love to be able to tell it all to you, but I've only got 10 minutes. So I hope I've given you a bit of an overtaste and an overview, and I hope that's been helpful. Thank you.
Thank you, Glenda. Thank you. That was wonderful, and well done for getting through that, because I know you were very worried that your voice wasn't going to hold out. So, and you were having some problems with your sound when you were coming in. Just to mention that there've been a couple of comments on the comments line about people losing their sound and it coming and going. On the presentation board, the sound has been fine, so I'm not sure that is a overall problem. But by all means, if you are losing sound, just let us know so we can double check our controls. Also, I'm going to just do an exercise for me. One of the comments that's come through is that having all the presenters on the bottom in the panel is causing the person who's presenting, to sort of lose, they're coming up just under the chin. So just can you tilt your screen for me a little bit, just so I can sort of see, that I can show the others. That's right. So when I move on to Lana and Julie and Letitia, just bear in mind to move your screen a little bit like that, so that the little inserts at the bottom, because we can't move those, just so that everybody is aware of that. But Glenda, thank you so much for sharing all of that. It's, there's so much that and there's so little time in the 10 minutes. But I hope that people did get some value out of that. And I know that I did bully you into offering a very special rate via Skype or one-on-ones, because I do so see the value of what it is that you do. Can you just share with us what your special offer is?
A 20% off tonight. So
right.
$160 for in-house and
okay.
$100 for online.
Right. Okay. And let me tell the participants that is really, that is not a big investment, because what you will save in terms of all the clothes that you don't buy, that's in the wrong color, and all the makeup that you don't buy, that's in the wrong color. You save a lot of money, and you save a lot of, a lot of time and trouble. So making an investment with Glenda is really probably one of the most cost-saving things that you will do. Well, I certainly, had to convince my husband of that, but now he understands. So I will no longer need to convince him. Glenda, thank you so much. Okay, moving on. Our next lovely presenter this evening is the lovely Lana. And I'm just waiting for Lana to turn her camera on for us. There we are. And her sound.
There you go.
There you go. Welcome, Lana. Now, Lana is a business owner herself. She comes to us all the way from Cape Town this evening. And she's also a facilitator and an executive coach. So Lana looks at the Lioness Circle from a number of different angles here, which I think is very valuable. The reason that I have Lana on in my circle of influence is actually not specifically to do with her topic. I know that's going to be very valuable, but I just wanted to say that I met Lana through a networking group expanding ENQ practice into South Africa, I got in touch with Lana, and there were a lot of people that I needed to meet and contacts that I needed to make. And Lana was incredibly helpful in putting me in touch with the right people. And then I started to realize that this is a lady who really knows a lot of people, but everyone who she's referred to me has been absolutely amazing, and that's not a coincidence. So that tells you that whoever is surrounding Lana and her circle of influence has got tremendous value, and she is tremendously valuable. So I'm really pleased to have her with us this evening, and we look forward to hearing all about how not to become overwhelmed, because I think that's probably the territory that the Lioness inhabits the most, try as we might. So Lana, looking forward to what you've got to tell us about that.
Perfect. Thanks, Sandy. Wow, what a privilege. And I'm so impressed with what we've heard from the other ladies. And I'm probably going to give you a little bit of an anatomy lesson like Sonia did. The topic is how the Lioness avoids overwhelmed. And you might think, because as Sonia said, we're all type A's, we're go-getters, business people, let's get moving. Who gets overwhelmed? So if you can, for a moment, imagine my hand as your brain. So this is the prefrontal cortex. It sits right behind your forehead. That's the area of the brain where we make decisions. So when we have to decide what opportunities to pursue or what we're going to do next, or we have to prioritize all the things that is on our list today, that's where that happens. There are two things about that part of the brain that is key. One is it uses about 20% of our body's overall energy resource to function at capacity. That's a lot. It's also really focus driven. So if we have more than 3 or 4 ideas that we're playing around with at any given time, that part of the brain is not going to be its best. So we start to slow down our decision making and our ability to think logically. Right behind that part of the brain is our limbic system. So just behind the prefrontal cortex, kind of hidden on the inside. That's the part of the brain where we experience fight, flight, and freeze. So our brain doesn't distinguish between a real physical threat and a threat to something like, let's say, your status or your autonomy, your sense of fairness. So our brain will go into a defensive mode and activate that limbic system, which means that in those moments, suddenly our prefrontal cortex can't take control, and we start peddling water, if you like. So being overwhelmed isn't a soft, pulling yourself together kind of scenario. It actually is a real physiological event that happens in your body. So that's why it's such an important thing. It's sometimes in our blind spot. And if we're wanting to bring our A game to our clients and to our families, then we have to highlight those blind spots and learn to manage them right. So picture that we're going from a roller coaster and we want to actually be the drivers of a bullet train of our business and our lives. So that's going to be the ultimate aim. If you say to me, "No, I don't think I'm ever overwhelmed," I want you to consider some of the following things. If you are rewriting your to-do lists because they just get too long and unprioritized and it's easier to start again, that might be one of the signs. Maybe you are running from meeting to meeting, like kids in tow, there's always somewhere to get to. And if anything is slightly late, it knocks onto the rest of your day. There's a chance that there's some overwhelmed in your space. You might be missing opportunities. Networking opportunities because we don't have the capacity to try new things. We might not feel we have the capacity to take risks or make really tough decisions. And those could be decisions around opportunities to take, but also, if you have staff, what do I do? Who do I promote? Who do I train? Who do I set out to market? Those are hard things to do, but we have to decide on them. But if we're battling, then probably there's some overwhelmed that we have to deal with. What about that brilliant idea that you've had? You are sure it's going to revolutionize your business, perhaps even your industry, but it's been in your head for a while. Maybe you've had 1 or 2 attempts at putting it down on paper, but you haven't had the time to think it through and implement it. That's one of the symptoms of overwhelmed. So If you're recognizing any of that, just hang in there for a minute. We're going to get to the good part. What are the things that cause us to be overwhelmed? Well, I already mentioned to you just now that our prefrontal cortex is really energy hungry. So, as Sonia said, if you are not sleeping enough, or if you haven't been eating the right stuff, your brain actually can't work as it should. So you won't be your best, despite the fact that you have all the perseverance and you might even be really busy and getting a lot done. The other thing that happens is we want to people please. So we say yes indiscriminately. We don't consider the impact of our commitments necessarily, because we want to, be the kind of person that people can turn to. And of course, that brings me to this hero complex. If you have been called Superwoman, or you think you should be Superman, then I want you to consider that just because we can do anything doesn't necessarily mean we should. And that's quite a clear distinction that we need to draw. Other causes are sometimes we have control issues, and it's a good thing none of us can put our hands up, right? But I think there's a lot of us. Habits, attitudes that we have, multitasking. If you're multitasking, I know the theory says that women can and men can't. The reality is science proves that neither of us can. Your brain actually can't multitask. So what is happening, the speed of thought is so fast that you're moving between tasks like that, but it's still a stop-start scenario that wastes time and creates overwhelm. Okay, so now, before you reach for the bottle in New Zealand and maybe even in South Africa, there is hope. I want you to know that there are simple things that you can do that is really, really going to make a big difference to your ability to drive a bullet train. And the first thing I want to chat about is something called the Healthy Mind Platter. So similar to the food pyramid that tells us what sort of foods we need to have to be well nutritioned, the Healthy Mind Platter tells us what the things are that we need to pay attention to that will allow us to keep fit and strong mentally. So after the webinar, Letitia is actually going to send out a post-webinar document that will have links to these things, and you'll be able to find that Healthy Mind Platter amongst my links. But it really covers things like sleep. So there might be a message in here somewhere in this webinar. Physical activity, focus time to just be working on one task and getting it really focused and done. Time in, where you have reflection time, thinking about where you are, where you want to be. Downtime, which is just relaxing time, where maybe you don't even let, your mind just wanders and you get to just be creative. Playtime, time for really just being spontaneous and having fun. And of course, if you combine that with your family time, which is your connected time, then that makes a very big difference to your mental capacity and how strong and healthy your mind is and stays. So, first solution, the paying attention to the aspects of the Healthy Mind Platter. The second solution, have a not to-do list. Commit to things that you are never going to do. And that could be anything from serving on a committee at school to getting involved in a particular business venture. It's important to do that up front, because what happens then is that you don't have to make the decision again. It keeps your mind space for the important stuff, and you can be your best. The other thing to do is to declutter, and you will find in the list that I send you a whole lot of articles on clutter and the impact that has on our mind and our ability to think and be really creative and focused in what we're doing. So I encourage you to read that. Decluttering both physical space, which is sometimes easier than our digital space, right? If your emails are years and years and years old and your inbox has 400 unread emails in, that's a good place to start and to declutter those things. And then the other thing that you could do is to actually use a coach. The reason one would use a coach is very often it's not that we don't know what to do, it's that we know and somehow we just don't get to make it a new habit. So working with somebody who can help you look at the blind spots and help you change thinking patterns and put new behaviors and patterns in place is going to be key. So those are quick solutions. I'm sure there are many more that apply to different specific scenarios, but those are the ones that I thought would broadly speak to people. So if we did this, if we actually managed to avoid being overwhelmed, what would be the wins? I think we would lead much better, we would reach much further, we would accomplish so much more, I guess we would laugh more, and we would live much longer. So it's definitely, in my perspective, given the things we want to accomplish and the impact we want to have in our lives and the people in our lives, really worthwhile doing. So you should be receiving a poll that, and I'm going to ask you to commit to 2 things that you can act on in the next week or 2. I don't know what it's like in New Zealand and Australia, but in South Africa the world kind of comes to a standstill over the summer holidays now, and that gives us lots of thinking time. So pick 2 things on that poll that you are going to action to start addressing the overwhelm that you might have experienced. Great, I look forward to hearing what those are. In the links that Letitia is going to send you, there's also a digital business card, and you can actually contact me straight through that and tell me what you've decided to do, and I can cheer you on your journey, or have a conversation if you'd like. Also, on the links I'm going to send you, there is an amazing clip called Off Balance on Purpose. That clip is just an incredible perspective changer, and I encourage you to watch it, enjoy it, and share it as much as possible. And enjoy the rest of the links, and I look forward to hearing from all of you.
Thank you so much, Lana. I'm not sure that poll came through. I did see Letitia put it up, but from where I was, I know Webinar Jam are playing a few tricks with us tonight, and I'm just not sure that it came out to everybody. But I tell you what, if it did, Letitia will be able to tell us. And if it didn't, we will send it out to the attendees anyway, and they can still consider it as they would have as a live poll, and then they can have a look at your links. I would really suggest that all the attendees go and have a look at the links that Lana has provided, that Letitia will be sending out afterwards, because they are very, very valuable. So thank you so much for sharing all of that with us. And I just have one question. I want to know, why did you sit back when you said get a coach? You were right here, and then you went, oh, and then you can get a coach. I was wondering if you were trying to take yourself out of that picture.
No, I had to reposition myself to give myself a reminder of where I was in my notes.
Okay, well, that makes a whole lot more sense. Okay, so as the participants will start to realize that, you know, technology is a wonderful thing, and us all being able to sit behind our desks at home and present to you all over the world is an amazing thing. But the thing with technology is that it works until it doesn't. And we do have a couple of things that are going a little bit haywire along the route tonight, but we will forgive those and just keep going, because we have so much to share, and we're not going to get hooked up on the little things. So, Lana, thank you so much for sharing everything that you have. Very, very valuable. And again, I would encourage the participants to definitely go and have a look at what you provided there. Thank you for your generosity there. You've really been very generous with what you have provided. Thank you so much. I'm just taking Lana off so that I can move over to our next presenter. So our next presenter is Julie. And I'm not sure. I'm hoping that Julie's still there. I don't see her, but we're just going to move her camera over. There she is. If I stop messing with her controls, we'll see her a whole lot better. Okay, so this is the amazing Julie Baines, and Julie is a qualified personal trainer. She's the owner of One-on-One Fitness, which is a home gym that she runs. And I just wanted to share, why Julie is in my circle of influence, and just a little story that I have. I met Julie over a year ago at a presentation that I did in Hamilton, and she was attending. And she came up to chat with me, and I was just so taken with her muscle definition. It was really mind-blowing to see the definition that she had, and she really looked like someone who knew what she was doing. And I asked her quite a difficult question. I play the bagpipes, which is a very unusual instrument to play, and I was wanting to firm up because in my mid-40s I was struggling a bit. So I said to her, Julie, if I was to start working out in the gym and doing some exercises, would it help me with my bagpipe playing? And she looked straight back at me and she said, I have absolutely no idea because I know nothing about bagpipes. She said, but I will tell you what you can do in terms of strengthening your core. And she went on to really assisting me. And I think the thing that I really admired about Julie was the fact that she didn't try and make up something that she didn't know, but she stuck with what it was that she did know. And what she knows is incredibly valuable. And not just me, but my family have been with Julie for the last year and a half, and we've all really, really benefited from her knowledge. So I asked her to join us tonight because what this lady knows, she doesn't just do, she doesn't just tell you what to do. She's an example of what she does. So Julie, lovely to have you with us tonight, and looking forward to sharing your tips with us. Off you go.
Thank you. Bonjour, everyone. And who's exercised today? Well, I know Sandy has because she came in today to do her regular session with me. And so how is less exercise more and getting better results? So I've been in the fitness industry for many years and competing in the bodybuilding world for over 5 years. And I'd like to share my personal experiences behind the principle of less is more when exercising. Working smarter for the same results is my motto, and I have to do this because I have a very, very busy life and I have to fit in the exercise and all the training that goes into my bodybuilding competitions. So over the 5 years I have learned ways on how to still get all the maximum results and spending as little time as possible exercising, but like I'm saying, still getting the same results. And this applies just to everyday normal people who are just wanting to get a little bit fitter or a little bit stronger or their core stronger, or like for someone like Sandy who has a personal need to get stronger. Yeah, and my busy life involves my own business that I run, a family of 3 young children, twin boys as well, and obviously there's my husband and a house to run, and still fit in all the exercise that we need to do. So what I would like to share with you tonight is one of the things that we get bombarded with very much so in today's life is all the adverts that come on TV, on the radio, telling us that we must join a gym to get fit and that we must do at least 6 or 7 days a week to get those results. And in my book, you don't need to do that much exercise to get your results. It's the gym that's just working on trying to get you to join. And whether you carry on exercising for those days that they promise you that will get you your results, they still have you as a member and you're still paying the fees. And so they're actually getting what they want, not what you want, which is your results. So you go to the gym and you did sort of join up, and then you decided that you would exercise for the amount of time that they recommended and to use their facilities to get your money's worth at the gym, and then you end up overdoing it. I don't know if you can see this. So most people don't like overdoing it. We don't like the feeling of feeling tired and run down, aching after you've exercised. The chances are that you're unlikely to go back. Reason being is because you'll suffer from injuries and sickness and pain that many of us don't like. This also impacts on your work time. If you become sick or injured, you lose money with not being able to go back to work. Also, you'll find that you've got the cost of the physio to fix up the problem because you're exercising way too over and above what the body is capable of doing. So then what happens is you start to become unmotivated. So now your little exercise regime that you've set up is now working against you, because you're starting to feel unmotivated and you're starting to get injuries because you're working out way too hard for what your body's capable of doing, and therefore you don't go back the following week or the week after, and then all the goals you've been working towards have suddenly just stopped. So really, what you need to do is start out slow. So for example, if you want to start climbing some steps, I would suggest that maybe you just do a couple or 3 steps each time that you go into the exercise session that you've made with yourself at those steps, and then come back on another day and maybe add another 2 in and another 3 in, and slowly add it all up. And before you know it, you'll be looking back over the weeks and you'll see that you can actually do more than what you could have done if you started out doing 100 steps all in one go. So that's the key, is to actually just stand back and actually assess, starting out really slow on something, whether it's just once a week or whether it's just 2 times a week, or maybe it's just 30 minutes sort of every other day in the week, and then start building up as you go along. As your body gets stronger and your physical strength improves, then you'll be able to deal with it much better than when you would have started out way too hard to start off with. So my advice is perhaps to probably only work out probably 4 days a week. Reason being is you need to take some rest time or days off in between, so that when you go back into your exercise session, you go back in refreshed. And if you go back in refreshed, you're more likely to exercise better during that session than you would if you had been doing back-to-back days of exercise. And each day that you went back in, you'd be getting tired and tired, and therefore not getting those results. So you're better off being a little bit perhaps less enthusiastic at the start. Just start out really slowly with the amount of days that you're doing. We have very busy lives today as well, so if you start to add in too many days of exercise, then you're not getting round to all the other things that you feel that you're needing to do that are feeling important to you. That's the first thing you start to drop off the list, which is your exercise, when really you need to keep some exercise in your busy life to deal with a little bit of the stress that's coming your way. Having that time out, I think Lana talked about how you could, it's having that time out and not thinking about anything. So you can do sort of your work things, your family things, but while you're exercising, your whole mind will just go blank and give you that time to relax and focus on just one thing. So interestingly also, Sonia talked very much about the adrenal fatigue thing. That again is the same with exercise. If you do too much exercise, then you're going to find that your body's going to be doing exactly the same thing as to what Sonia described. You're overworking the body, it's overstressed with the exercise, and therefore you actually start to feel worse than what you would do if you were allowing the exercise to be at a manageable amount for you personally. So yes, as I said before, the body's not designed to overdo it. So if you are going to overdo it, then it will go into survival mode. So I recommend spending only 40 to 60 minutes. 40 minutes is ample enough time exercising in one session. 60 minutes is the maximum. Anything over and above that, you're stressing the body again, and the body is starting to not work efficiently at that exercise that it's partaking in. So my advice really is less is more with the time that you spend with the exercising. So that applies too with walking. A lot of people think that if they go walking for an hour or more, they're going to be benefiting from it more and they're going to be burning more calories and those kind of things. When actually what they find is that they're too tired to walk the day after or the day after that. So whereas if they'd only done a 30-minute walk or even a 40-minute walk, they would be much more inclined to go walking again the next day or maybe the day after. So a lot of my clients probably work out with me roughly ranging from 1 to 2 days a week, and the 2-day people obviously will receive the results a lot quicker. And even those that do the 1 day, they find that they're getting the results of their clothes fitting better, they're feeling stronger, their core is stronger. So really they're also finding that those results, even though they take just a little bit longer than perhaps what they would have done if they had been doing a lot more exercise, they're able to keep it consistent. They're able to keep it into their life that much longer, and therefore see the long-term results and see that exercise is going to be in their life for a very long time to come, rather than just a week or 2 weeks and then doing absolutely nothing, feeling really awful and guilty because you didn't meet those goals, because you were putting too much high standard onto what you think's expected of you from all these adverts and radio things that we get bombarded at us about. You've got to work full maximum power, that kind of thing, when really you don't. So the other thing is this thing about running. So I have lots of new clients that come to me and they're saying, but those are the ones that want to lose weight, are saying that I choose running to help me keep my weight down, but for some reason I don't seem to be losing any weight, but I seem to be running lots of days in the week and maybe 40 minutes running, but it just seems to be piling back on instead of coming off. And then the first question I will ask them is, well, do you like running? And most of them, believe it or not, say no. So really, they're doing something that they don't enjoy, and they're actually feeling that it's taking them to a place that is just too much, but yet not giving them the results that they want if they are wanting to lose weight. The reason behind this is because when the body is in a running situation, it goes into what's called the flight or fright mode. And I think Lana touched on this as well. And so the body does not know how to distinguish between being chased after by a dinosaur in the prehistoric time, or whether you're just going for a leisurely run because you're wanting to lose weight. And so what happens there is the body starts to go into survival mode and store fat, because that's initially what it does to survive, to make sure it's got enough food on board, and so that then whatever's going to be happening and they can't get to the food, then there's enough there to put them on for how many days it needs to take. So your body doesn't know the difference. So when these ladies or gentlemen who are running for too long, that's exactly what the body is doing. So really what they should be doing is probably only running for 10 or 20 minutes for each of the runs that they're doing, and maybe every day in between have a day off, and they will find that the weight will start to come off. Another thing that happens to people who start to run and run too far, they actually get more hungry. So what they end up doing is actually starting to eat more because they're hungry and they're fatigued, and so they're actually putting more calories into the body, which, as we know, then turns into fat because it's not being burned up. So it's having that negative effect. So another one of my tips for everyone, and less is more, is spend less time in the gym and more time in the kitchen. And so this is all about eating healthily. Again, Sonia touched on this as well, how important it is for us to reduce all the salty foods, the sugary foods, the things that cause our body to slow down a little bit and put the weight on and cause a few of the issues that we have with obesity. So yeah, looking at the food, a good thing is perhaps to write a food diary, so you're logging in what you're eating throughout the day, and you'll be absolutely amazed by what you actually end up eating in the day, and being honest with yourself as well. And that's one of the things that a lot of my clients come to me with, and they'll write the diary for a couple of weeks or so, and they'll realize then where they are going wrong, where they are eating too much, and so helping them reduce their weight if that's one of their goals. So finally, I'd just like to say that consistency is the key. The reason being is that if you can be consistent with your exercise and that you're happy with what you're doing, you will get the results. The results might come a lot slower, but they will become more permanent in your life and allow you to spend the time doing other things as well, and yeah, getting those results that you want. So consistency is really the key. So yeah.
Great.
So I'd
Thank
also
you.
like I'm just going to say, what I would like to do is I would like to offer anybody out there who would like to have a chat with me on Skype for half an hour. I do have a small fee for that, but I would like to help anybody out there who's struggling with how to put exercise into their life and get a regular routine and that fits them into their lifestyle, so that then they can start to get some of the results that they're wanting and that they're looking for in their lifestyle.
Great. Thank you, Julie. Thank you so much. Wow, you packed a lot of information into that 10 minutes. Well done. Okay, your poll actually did come up. I saw the poll come up, and a few other people must have, because we did get some results in, and it looks like the majority of people feel that leg squats are what do them the most good, and followed by bicep curls. But I have to make the point here that, I mean, who does press-ups and chin-ups? I would be very impressed if a lot of the audience did such a thing.
I was hoping that there might have been another bodybuilder who is online, because they would have been ticking that poll, believe me.
I don't think the majority of us have heard of chin-ups or press-ups since we were much younger. but what I can tell the participants is that Judy does introduce these things into your routine in such a way that you actually find that you are doing them, and that's quite amazing, because they're things that you wouldn't have thought always that you would hold on to doing as you get older. But I have never come away from a session with Judy ever being that weary or that sore the next day that I felt that I have done something I shouldn't. And that's really key, Judy, because even when I do my own workouts, I tend to overdo it. But when I work out with you, I actually don't. So I think that shows the professionalism, and I would certainly recommend, and mention to anybody that if they take you up on that Skype offer, or if they do stay in the area, to get in touch with you, because that value is really incredible. And as we get older, our body does just lose its strength, and we need its strength. If we're going to be in business leadership, we need our strength. So thank you very much for that. Much appreciated, all the value that you packed into that time. Thank you, Judy.
Thank you, Sandy. Thank you.
Okay, so now we're moving along nicely, and we have the lovely Letitia coming up next. Let me just put Letitia back into the screen. For some reason, she doesn't want to come up. No, I don't want to hide Letitia. Oh, there we go. There we go. Letitia, put your camera on so we can see you and we can hear you. Alrighty. So Letitia, entrepreneur, also mother of twins. We have 2 mothers of twins on this webinar tonight. It must be something in the area. She's going to be speaking to us all about why a lioness needs a personal assistant. And I don't really have to embellish on why I asked Letitia to join us on this webinar, because clearly Letitia is in my circle of influence, very heavily so, in terms of the fact that she helps me with a lot of my practice functions, and she assists me as a PA, and there's a lot that goes on behind doors with E&Q practice, and Letitia carries a lot of that. So I can certainly highly recommend anything that Letitia has got to say, and looking forward to what you are going to share with us, Letitia. Ready when you are.
Thank you, Sandy. Hi, everyone. It's lovely to be here with you all tonight. Firstly, a big thanks to Sandy for inviting me along to be a co-presenter, and thank you to those registered attendees for being here also. I provide business support services to the time poor. My services allow busy professionals to outsource the parts of their business that they don't enjoy, don't have the expertise to do, or just simply don't have the time to do. Tonight, my topic, as Sandy said, is why the lioness needs a personal assistant. And no doubt we have all at times felt that there's not enough time in the day, feeling like there's too much to do, having little unscheduled, unstructured time, and having the sense that your days fly by quickly. Are we all thinking it's Christmas already? These are all symptoms of a condition known as being time poor, a term gaining popularity in today's world and ever-increasing demands and pressures. The lioness maintains a focus on the higher level tasks, setting targets, planning strategies and evaluating performance. But this can only be done if she can avoid becoming bogged down in daily administrative tasks. And this is where I, the personal assistant, comes to the rescue. In a moment, we'll look at how the problem of being time poor can affect the Lioness, and we'll do this by discussing 4 key areas. But first, I have a question for you all, which Sandy will put on the poll, and when you're ready, you can tick one of the options. And the question is, in which area of your business or role as a business owner would a PA be the most valuable to you? So how does the concept of being time poor relate specifically to the Lioness? Those at the top of the food chain focus on key targets and use others to spend time on the non-specific tasks. They concentrate on the higher value activities, for example, searching out new opportunities or meeting with high value clients. The Lioness is the sort of person that stands out from the crowd. She is always actively planning and formulating strategies to grow the business and making efficient use of time and resources. This is why a Lioness is more effective with a personal assistant supporting her. It enables her to free up more time for the activities which are essential for business growth. Now let's move on and take a look at the problem of being time poor in a little more detail. Then we can examine some of the causes and effects and some strategies for finding a solution. So the problem. In today's world, time is at a premium. There's always seems to be a million things to do, but we all have only 24 hours in the day. And if we try to fit too much in that 24 hours, it can have hugely detrimental consequences in our lifestyle, health, and business. There are a whole host of problems spring to mind, including social, personal, and business. Stress causing burnout, sleep disorders, weight issues, weakened immune systems, family life being affected, recreation activities and hobbies falling by the wayside, and friendships and relationships being strained. And Lana and Sonia have covered a lot of these tonight. And from a business perspective, having insufficient time to plan, monitor and concentrate on higher level activities can lead to a poor growth, stagnation and impact on customer service, sales and marketing, budgeting and many other aspects of your business. You may also find yourself working late into the night, getting frustrated spending hours doing tasks you don't enjoy or lack strategic value to the business, feeling isolated running the business on your own and wanting someone to bounce ideas around with, feeling frustrated or even angry that you are working yourself into the ground but still failing to generate the traction or results you hope for. A client who is the manager of a Hamilton branch of a national company was in a situation of being too busy for social media but knew it was something the company needed to be involved in. He sends their weekly newsletter and I post the information included to Facebook. In his words, our services freed up his time to concentrate on the other areas of his business. So what is it that causes us to work such long hours, do those tasks we hate or aren't very good at, or could be done more efficiently? How is the Lioness time rich while others are time poor? The difference is how you choose to spend your time. Someone who is time poor is likely not to even realise it. They're too busy with their heads down at the coalface to be able to step back and take stock. Some practices that contribute to this might include, and again Lana touched on some of these similar great points, not saying no, being disorganised, not using and maintaining a to-do list, and trying to do everything yourself. A marketing client was trying to juggle servicing her own clients as well as school pickups. She engaged me to save her time and complete general administration tasks that I was able to do quicker, allowing her to spend some time with her children and get on with the more specialised work. Your most valuable resource is your time, but what good is that if you are burnt out? I have already mentioned how this can lead to poor health, which in turn can severely affect how you run your business. Burnout is a state of emotional, mental and physical exhaustion caused by excessive and prolonged stress. and you may be on a road to burnout, sorry, if every day is a bad day. Caring about your work or home life seems like a total waste of energy. You're exhausted all the time. The majority of your day is spent on tasks you find either dull or overwhelming, or feel like no difference or is appreciated. Outsourcing to a personal assistant can help you live and work independently, reducing the stress and burnout, and it could make you more effective in the long run. I have several clients that outsource the task of taking and transcribing their board meeting minutes. Prior to engaging my services, they didn't necessarily have good board processes or accountability in place, and they certainly didn't have the opportunity to be fully engaged in important decision making due to the fact that they were taking the minutes during the meeting themselves. You may be aware of the comparative advantage principle, one of the oldest principles in economics developed by British economist David Ricardo in the early 19th century. The principle explains why you should outsource the production of lower value services, even if you can produce them more efficiently yourself. Even if you're fast or better at getting a routine task done, it doesn't necessarily mean it's a good use of your time. I'm not going to go any further into the details of this principle. There is an abundance of literature available for those who are interested, and it makes for an interesting read. Of course, if you are time poor, you'll be thinking, how on earth will I find time to do that? And therein lies the problem. And recognising this is the first step towards that, breaking the cycle. It is easy to feel that there is no time for stepping back, evaluating the business, formulating those strategies for growth, but there are essential aspects of running your business, and it is vital to allocate some time for this. In essence, you need to ditch the small tasks. Taking care of the details of running an office can hijack your entire day. Use an assistant to do things like run reports, type up documents, schedule appointments, complete research, organise those travel arrangements, social media management, newsletter campaigns, and your diary management. Put strategies in place that deal with the problems of being time poor. This solution isn't going to manifest the same for everybody. However, it can be applied generally as opposed to a set of steps to solve the problem. There isn't a single solution that will work for everybody. All businesses are different with varying demands, and everyone has different skill sets. But there will almost certainly be some tasks that can be effectively outsourced, giving you more time to concentrate on growing the business. This webinar is all about our circle of influence and how to effectively use this circle to make our personal and business lives more productive, successful, and rewarding. Be smart by building yourself a team of professionals that help you achieve the best outcome possible. If you do this, you can find yourself with increased flexibility, reduced stress, faster completions of tasks that you may have struggled with in the past, better business growth, or at least time to plan for it, more time to spend on activities outside the business. So let's run through the 4 key areas again very briefly. The problem of being time poor. What are the things in your life that are being affected? The causes. Are you doing everything you can to eliminate the causes? The possible effects. You don't want to experience burnout. Mitigate before you become overwhelmed. The solution, outsource, outsource, outsource. And make time to step back once in a while to evaluate your daily activities and ask yourself how efficiently you are using your time. I want to leave you with this one last question that you can answer in your own time. How much time is your time worth? I'm Letitia Buck from Quintessential Concierge. If you'd like to connect with me, please email me on letitia@quintessentialconcierge.co.nz or view my website when the information details come through. If you feel like you might benefit from my personal assistant services, I'm offering all attendees to this webinar tonight 10% off your first booking if made before the 31st of December. You don't need to live in New Zealand to take up this offer. We can tailor it to your individual business needs. Thanks again to Sandy for this opportunity to speak, to my fellow co-presenters for your insightful presentations, and lastly to the audience, thank you for being here and taking the time to listen to us.
Thank you, Letitia. And just to sum up in terms of Letitia's message, everything that she said, everything that she said is absolutely true. And in terms of what it is that I do, where I talk about being in different territories as entrepreneurs and business leaders, I can honestly say that we're not going to enter lion territory if we're trying to do everything on our own. It's just not possible. It's not possible, and it's not practical, and it's not viable. And it's just one of those things that I just don't think, you know, we can try to do. So I would certainly take everything that Letitia said on board. Letitia, just in terms of the poll, it did run. I had to type it in. I'm not a good PA. I type with 2 fingers, but we got it in, and everything came back as the most popular need for assistance was with basic admin and marketing functions. And I can certainly back that up. Letitia helps me a lot with marketing functions and the admin that I struggle to get around to. And I think what it simply comes down to is that it comes down to let somebody else do the things that they can do better than you can. And you do the things that you're really good at, and that's the bottom message. Okay, so moving on to me. I'm the final presenter tonight, and my topic is all about building a powerful circle of influence and how you do that. And essentially, the first question that I have is, influence what exactly? So we talk about a circle of influence, but what is it that circle is actually influencing? And that's the first thing I'd just like you to think about. In my opinion, I think that our circle of influence influences our journey towards our authentic selves. And you know, that might sound a little bit deep, but just think about it. I think we come into this world with a very vague idea of who we are. And a small, very vague idea of what we're here to do. And our life's journey becomes about getting in touch with that, getting in touch with who we really are, which I call our authentic selves, and getting in touch with what we're here to do. And on that journey of finding ourselves, we have to experience incredible growth. But the problem is that we come through systems where we're more encouraged to fit in than to stand out. Fitting in requires that we shrink, and that we don't explore our authentic selves, that we fit in not to create trouble, not to create waves, and that is usually encouraged in much of our upbringing through our schooling and our family environments, and even corporate environments and work environments and religions. There's all kinds of ways that it's done, but we are often encouraged to fit in. And I say that when we go into business leadership, we actually have to do the opposite. We have to stand out. And for many of us that didn't stand out through our formative years, that is just a terrifying prospect. And trying to run a business in the sense of fitting in is seldom successful. We have to stand out in terms of running a successful business, and that requires enormous growth. And it's around that time that we are growing that our circle of influence is incredibly important, because those people will have an influence on the direction in which we grow and how we grow. So we need to be very, very conscious of that circle of influence. So to start off, I actually have a list of 3 very big N's in things that you don't want to bring into an influence relationship when you are forming a circle of influence. And the first N stands for nurturing. What? I hear you say, but we are lionesses, and nurturing is what we do. And yes, it is. Instinctively, nurturing is what we do. But in a business environment, nurturing can often lead us to start looking after people and, trying to save people who don't really want to save themselves. And what happens is we just get bogged down in all kinds of things that we shouldn't. And I often just make the point of saying, move away from nurturing in a business environment and a business leadership role towards empowering. It's a very, very significant difference in terms of building your business. So nurturing, not top of the list, empowering, very much so. The next N stands for needy. We can't enter an influence relationship needy, because we will just hold everybody down, and we will drain the parties in the influence relationship. When you're in a relationship of influence, the important thing is that we carry our own weight. We are there to influence each other, to grow. We are not there to be carried. So people who come into a relationship of influence in a needy frame of mind will not do the relationship any good, and it's just not a good place that you want to be. The third N stands for know-it-all. Know-it-all does not start with an N, I hear you say. It starts with a K. Well, that's what I get my artistic license from, but it worked because it's a N. So anyway, know-it-all. What I mean by know-it-all is we are all at different stages in our lives. We are at different stages in terms of what we are earning, in terms of the status that we feel that we have, in terms of our knowledge base, our education, in terms of many, many things. But it's not those things that define us. What I believe defines us is our contribution to the world, and that is in how much we grow towards our authentic selves as to what we're going to contribute. And we have differences. So it's in those differences that the real value of a influence relationship is realized. It's not in coming into a relationship either being completely intimidated by the other party because they seem to be far further along than you are, and it's also not about coming into the influence relationship sort of feeling as if you're a little bit ahead of people, so therefore you've got more to offer than you've got to learn. Any of those kind of preconceived ideas actually just stops the flow of information and the flow of learning, which stops the growth on both sides. So those are the three N's for what not to bring to the party in an influence relationship, in my humble opinion, and that is nurturing, needy, and know-it-all. Moving on, there are three critical factors that I think we need to take into account when looking at building our circle of influence. And the first is that of trust. I was taught to think of trust in terms of a little bag of almost like trust dust. And when you meet somebody in an environment that you feel you have a connection with, or that you want to learn from, or you want to spend time with and take on things that they've got to share, you literally just dust them with a little bit of your trust dust. You don't throw the whole bag at them because people change, circumstances change, and our perception of people is often different to what that person is really like. Not to say good or bad, just to say that it takes us time to get to know people. And when we first form a relationship, sometimes we find this person is amazing and we just want to be like them, and we throw all our trust dust at them, only to find that they maybe do something down the line which stuns us or hurts us, and then we withdraw, and then we become very loath to trust people again. And we have to trust people in a relationship of influence to a certain extent. So if we're not trusting anybody, we are not learning and we are not growing from those people. If we are trusting too many people, we land up just not getting a good sense of who we are because we don't give ourselves time to do that. So trust is a very important aspect. The next important aspect is something that I call collateral, you've heard the term collateral damage, I call it collateral benefit. And that is who else is affected by our circle of influence. And just I'll use myself as an example, I have two daughters, one is 21 and one is 18. I have seen them come through incredibly turbulent times, certainly through their teenagerhood. They moved countries, they are girls. They've come through the whole social media environment. They're having to fit in and all of those things. And I'm really proud of who those girls are today, but I know that I would never have gotten them to where they are today on my own. And just to mention some of the people on the webinar, the effect that Glenda has had on my two girls has been phenomenal in terms of them understanding their color and their style and giving them the confidence to be their authentic selves and actually seeing how beautiful their authentic selves really are when they understand who they are. Julie has had a very, very good effect on them in terms of understanding fitness. They follow Sonia very closely on nutrition. It's just the thing is that because they, I might know these things and I might be listening to these things from my circle of influence, but I'm their mother, so what do I know? But they don't have to look to me. They can look to my circle of influence. My point simply is that is that people around us, people that are very special to us and very close to us, are also affected by our circle of influence. And we need to be very aware of that in terms of forming our circle of influence. The third point is all about saying you decide who joins your circle of influence. It's not a closed circle. People come in and people go out, but you get to make that decision. And that's leading on in terms of why I ran this webinar tonight, because those of you who know me know that I run a practice called E&Q Practice, and it's all about building entrepreneurial intelligence. And the reason that I built this practice was because I started my business over 18 years ago, and I found it to be a very stressful, very lonely journey, and I battled to find a circle of influence that could give me ongoing support. So through E&Q Practice, I have attempted to put material down that can assist business owners. In other words, I'm part of their circle of influence. But just doing it through books and through DVDs is actually, it doesn't have longevity, and it doesn't have an ongoing influence, which is really what I'm trying to create, because I've got the 18 years of the experience, and I'm obviously still learning, and I'm still leading, and I'm still adding to that. So I have actually a very exciting offer for you tonight, and I'm thrilled to announce that I launched a new web page today. I didn't know if I was going to make it in time for the webinar, but through one of Lioness' contacts, we did manage to get our website together. And to show this to you, I'm just going to turn my camera off for a second. To show this to you, I'm going to share my screen, because I would just like to take you and show you the offer that I have. I'm hoping that all comes out well. So now you should be having an idea of what my screen looks like. I just want to take you to the new E&Q website. Sorry, I know that sounds very loud when we're typing live, so I'll try and touch these keys gently. And I know that our time is just about running out, but I'm not going to be very much longer at all. I just want to show you about something that we've built. I have built a membership site called Lioness. And this is all about being in your circle of influence in a way that fits in with what you can afford time-wise, what you can afford in terms of financials, because we've made it very affordable, and what you can afford in terms of headspace. Our headspace is our most important resource as business owners, and it's something that we have to look after. So if you go to www.eqpractice.com, as you can see on your screen here, you will notice that there is Lioness, and then there is a little section here that says free trial. And what I have done is I have created all the Path of the Lion tools in a layering sense, so that if you join the membership, you get the different topics over a period of time, and they're fed to you very slowly in a way that you can absorb them, and you can layer the really effective techniques in terms of running your business. So if you go to this free trial, you can go and log in. Just be aware that I'm not one of those people who grabs your email addresses and spams you forevermore. I absolutely don't believe in doing that. So if you go and sign on for the free trial and it's not your thing, please don't worry, you won't be spammed forever and ever, but it's very easy to go and sign on to the free trial. Once you are in on that free trial, I'd just like to show you what it looks like. I can share my details with you, because they're going to change very shortly. Just bear with me. I just want to show you what it looks like in terms of that membership site and the products that we've got. As I said, we've divided it into products, into topics, and under the topics are various products to assist you with the topics, so that you can sort of get them under your belt, and you can develop your entrepreneurial intelligence, utilizing me in your circle of influence in a way that you can sustain. So this is what the platform looks like. There is an inspirational quote that is actually emailed through every day to you, and I selected these myself and I typed them out. Most of them I did have a little bit of help, but that is essentially me checking in with you every day, just to give you a little bit of motivation as your day starts, and I think that can be quite valuable. And then you have a table of topics, and it just tells you what is available to you under this membership. You will have a bank of articles that relates to topic 1. There's a whole number of articles that I have written in the past that were very popular, that were very widely published, and those are available to you. Then there's a brand new monthly article. This is an article that no one has ever seen. The topic 1 is all about why E&Q is all about you, and what I call the effort versus return entrepreneurial success ladder. There is a video slot where I am actually presenting these concepts live, so you can have a good look at those. There is a new ebook, which is all about those 2 topics. There is a pre-recorded webinar for you to watch at your leisure. The conference isn't applicable because we don't have that available on the free trial, but that'll be in one of the memberships. So just to go back to that and stop my screen sharing, I hope that I was able to what I managed to do was turn my sound off. Definitely getting towards the end of the webinar. So that is something that I've got, and that is really an offer from the heart in terms of saying that free trial is just for the webinar attendees tonight. You are welcome to go and register. You will be getting, the information is fed through to you on a very manageable basis. You might be thinking to yourself, oh my goodness, it's December and I really don't feel like this now. But in fact, now is a good time because you don't have a lot of things coming through and you've got some time just to have a look and consider it and see whether or not this is something that can help you. If you do like what you see, I will be offering you an option of 3 different memberships when this free trial expires. You are under absolutely no obligation. Use it, don't use it. There's tremendous value if you think that it's going to assist you. If it's not for you, absolutely no worries. I still really hope that what I have taught you on the webinar and in the information online space that you will get some value. So we're right at the end of our webinar right now. I'm just going to quickly go and have a look at our chat room to see if there are any last minute questions. No, there are not. So I can wrap up. Okay, so just to wrap up, thank you so much for your participation, for coming and spending your time with myself and my circle of influence this evening. It's been an absolute pleasure to present for you. Thank you so much to my co-presenters. Co-presenting on a webinar is, I think I mentioned at the beginning, it's a big deal. You have to do a lot of preparation. You've got to get all your systems in order. It requires a lot of rehearsal. It requires a lot of trust in technology and in each other. I think that this has been an amazing team. I have certainly learned heaps tonight. I hope that you've learned as much as I have. Wishing you, would everyone like to turn their cameras back on and show us your faces one more time so we know you haven't sneaked off to go and open that bottle of wine or get that cup of coffee. There you go. Everybody is back and on screen, and so good to see you all. Thank you to my amazing team. Thank you for attending. Letitia will be sending out information in terms of the special offers that were made. This is not a hard sell. This is making the influencers that have assisted me to get to where I am available to you. So that's what it's all about. And thank you to the ladies who have participated in that. Wishing you a roaring 2015. To the Lions and the Lionesses on board with us tonight, and keep a great eye out on Lionspace and on the ENQ Facebook page in terms of what will be happening in the future. Lovely to have you all on board and wishing you a good evening.